phone away. Monday show.
Oh, I was getting you ready, buddy.
Live from New York. It's the show that's welcoming Chris Broussard back.
Fingers crossed.
One day.
Missed 2 days.
Missed
Two.
Thursday.
One
We had a
day.
show on Thursday.
I was there.
He was
Thursday.
there Thursday.
I
you
missed Friday.
bozo. He missed 2 days the last
God.
week. You were
Oh,
there.
sorry.
Yeah, he's got it.
Jeez. Was that a good show on Thursday? Today, Dak Prescott in a new look Dallas offense. But who here has him outside of their top 10? Meanwhile, Joe Burrow out several weeks since he signed another backup quarterback. And the possibility that he misses week 1 grows more real. And finally, Travis Kelce fighting his own teammates. 2 guys there and then another. 3 total teammates.
Yeah.
You know what I always say, bro? Fight 1 teammate, shame on you. Fight 2 teammates, shame on me. Alongside Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wildes. That didn't even make sense.
No,
Nick, are you okay with the Travis Kelce,
Well, listen,
dynasty tight end?
I don't like doubles. I don't like double
Problems
standards,
in Kansas
and I've
City?
always said practice fights are bad. This one was actually good. We'll discuss. It was actually
like
good.
a double standard
I understand it seems hypocritical, but I'll convince you.
We start with Rodgers firing back. After a few too many lattes, Sean Payton torched his Denver coaching predecessor, Nat Hackett. Happens to be one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite coaches and his current OC. Payton also said the Jets were trying to win the offseason and insinuated that they were going to fall flat. Well, Rodgers sat down with Peter Schrager, and here's what was his response.
I love Nathaniel Hackett, and those comments were very surprising. For a coach to do that to another coach, it made me feel bad that someone who's accomplished a lot in the league is that insecure that they have to take another man down to set themselves up for some sort of easy fall if it doesn't go well for that team this year. I thought it was way out of line, inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's names out of his mouth.
Oh! Do you like Rodgers sticking up for his coach?
Yeah. Right. Listen, I do not believe in the Jets this year. I do not think Aaron Rodgers is still a great quarterback. But that doesn't change the fact that he keeps doing the right thing, and you have to give him credit for doing the right thing. Yeah. No, I'm just giving. No,
days.
I am just a fair arbiter. I just call balls and strikes out here, and I'm a fair arbiter of what I'm seeing. The bonding with teammates at the sporting events was objectively a good thing.
Yes.
Participating in the offseason program was objectively a good thing. Giving money back to the team to help them get other players is potentially objectively a good thing, certainly not a bad thing. Sticking up for his guys and his coaching staff, his much maligned coach, is objectively a good thing, and I'll add a 5th little bonus. Oh. I believe the Jets' best case scenario is they are fighting for that final wild card spot. Another team whose best case scenario is fighting for that final wild card spot is the Denver Broncos.
Right.
And I think him adding to the pressure, and more than adding to the pressure, making sure this storyline extends longer is bad for the Broncos, which objectively is a good thing for the Jets. So yeah, I mean, I give the guy credit. I think at 40 years old, he's going to have real struggles this year, but he has handled this offseason almost perfectly, bro.
Okay.
I agree. I agree. And I feel bad for Wiles because I know you're sitting up here like you're upset. Because you know what you saw in that video? An angry Aaron Rodgers.
He was disappointed.
No, he was angry. He was
don't
angry.
play well disappointed.
He clearly was angry. What Sean Payton did might backfire on him because I agree. They could both be fighting for one of those last playoff spots. And he is now added to the chip that I think already was on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. So he may make the Jets even better. I agree with Nick. Look, him sticking up for Nat Hackett, that's just going to strengthen Hackett's credibility within that locker room. I'm not saying guys already didn't believe in him, but let's face it. We saw what he came from last year, and now this helps having one of the best quarterbacks ever, sign off on him in a major fashion.
It's also kind. Because of the way he was attacked. It's a kind thing to do to publicly back him.
And people are probably looking at what Hackett did last year and saying, what is Aaron Rodgers seeing him? Kind of like the cheerleader.
No,
what is she seeing him there? I won't just throwing it out there. But they're saying, what is he seeing him? But we have seen many coordinators who were great. Josh McDaniels comes to mind, who weren't good head coaches. All right, we'll see if I'll give your boy a chance to turn around. But so far, he hadn't been good. That doesn't mean you're not a great coordinator. And he and Rodgers have obviously had great times together. Look, I liked Sean Payton standing up for Russell Wilson. He probably went too far, but I think he was really trying to defend Russ. Mm-hmm. And I like Aaron Rodgers defending his coach. So I'm good with both sides.
Okay, can I pitch you a question? When Aaron Rodgers joined the Jets, we were like, what type of team are the Jets going to be?
Sure.
And I think they've established or decided maybe we are going to be a team that responds. Robert Saleh will respond to criticism. Aaron Rodgers, you want to criticize the darkness retreat? He will respond. You want to criticize some of his personal decisions? He will respond. You want to criticize his coach? He will respond. The Patriots, on the other hand, are a team that is not going to respond. You can say anything you want. Bill Belichick's going to go up there and not give you anything. So, Brew, before the season started, before you kind of fell back in love with Aaron Rodgers, you were worried about the Jets getting off to a slow start and the back page of all those newspapers. Now, I don't think they're going to go undefeated, so when that criticism happens, are you worried about the Jets being a team that responds, losing their focus a little bit?
I think that's a fair point. I think if it does go badly, I'm not saying it will, but let's say they start really badly.
Yeah, start 1-4.
If they're 1-4 and the back pages start ripping them, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been responding now for a few years, right?
Yep.
In Green Bay, and now, I think it could go south early. And maybe even Saleh, Saleh's talked a little bit too.
And
so
Saleh, by the way, Saleh was a talker before Rodgers. If you remember last year, and it looked briefly like Saleh was going to be vindicated in this, then the season kind of fell apart.
Right.
But after the very beginning of the season, Saleh had the receipts press conference. Do you remember that when he said, he's like, we know what everyone's saying, and we're keeping the receipts. And everyone kind of laughed at him, but then all of a sudden they were 7-4, and he looked like vindicated, but then 7-4 became 7-10. And so Saleh, I don't think this is false bravado from Robert Saleh. I think that is who he is, and I think his, if you don't got haters, you ain't popping line was maybe a little bit of trying to kind of put, pander to the players a bit, but still, I think that is who he is. The one thing Aaron said that I disagree with just from a logical standpoint is that I do not think Sean Payton's comments created an off-ramp for him if the season goes poorly. Yep. I think it upped the pressure on him, because what he was saying there is we have good enough players, except for the offensive line, it sounded like, but they brought in new offensive linemen. Our quarterback's still great. I'm going to be pissed off if we don't make the playoffs. So why didn't it go well? It was the worst coaching job in the history of football. That's what he called it, or paraphrase it. I think that only upped the pressure on the Broncos. It wasn't like this is such a disaster. Agree. I didn't know what I walked into. Right. So I disagree with Rodgers just kind of asserting.
Because most people were not looking at Denver as a playoff team. A lot of people thought Russ is falling off. Yeah, he'll be better under Payton, but he's not that good anymore.
8 wins.
And now you're thinking, he's saying they're going to make the playoffs.
Yes.
So absolutely.
All right, these teams will match up in Denver week 5. 2 Super Bowl champion quarterbacks on new/kind of new teams coming off uncharacteristic bad performances last year. Here's the first 5 weeks for both teams. The Broncos have got the Raiders, the Commanders, frisky Commanders, Dolphins, Bears, Jets, and then the Jets are going to lose on Monday Night Football against the Bills, go into Dallas and lose against the Patriots, who they haven't beaten since 2005, and then it's the Chiefs, maybe like a letdown game, and then the Broncos. So who's under more pressure to win this game, bro?
Because of the schedule, and another thing too, the Jets. All right, the Jets will have the most pressure because I don't think they'll be 1-3, because I think they'll split with Buffalo and Dallas. They'll get one of those games. Oof. And then they'll beat the Patriots.
But it should be noted, by the way, also, the game after this, the Jets have the Eagles. So, but go ahead. So I understand
So my point is, though, because of the Jets schedule, they could be 1-3, and we talked about it. If they lose this game, you're 1-4, and you lost to the team that loud talked you, right? And you loud talked them back. and they called you out and you couldn't do anything about it, the back pages in New York and the tabloids will have a field day with that. And then that's what we talk about, the pressure ramping up. Now, Denver, I think Denver's schedule is, look, I don't know how good you guys think they'll be, but three of these games are very winnable. If we can see who they got, the Commanders.
Raiders,
I know you
Commanders, Dolphins, Bears.
Yeah. I mean, all of those games are actually conceivably winnable. Yeah,
sure.
so if they're 3-1 or whatever, 2-2 even, if they lose this game, and just face it, expectations are much higher for the Jets publicly and nationally. So I think the more pressure's on them.
The problem for the Broncos, leave that up if you would, is as opposed to for the Jets, it's what comes before this Week 5 game. For the Broncos, it's what comes right after this Week 5 game. And this is where I think the Broncos and where I think Sean Payton made a grievous error. Because now I think this is a must-win for the Broncos. Because I'm sorry,
Unless
I'm not trying to do schedule theater. No, no matter what they do up before, I'll explain the logic. If we can put the schedule back up there, I think if they're going poorly and they lose this game, it's obviously a disaster. But if they're going well and they lose this game, guess what, guys? You're about to go on a bit of a losing streak after this game, no matter what. Because you have the Chiefs twice in 3 weeks, then the Bills and the Vikings. So, we'll see what the Packers are. So then it will be like, oh, everything was going well. And then the team who your coach chirped at came to your building and beat you, and now all of a sudden the season's in a tailspin. So this is a bit of a cop-out answer. I don't mean it to be. But both teams have to win the game.
Oh, because they're both, as you said, at best, well, I'm not so sure about the Jets, but they could be fighting for that last playoff spot.
Correct.
Both of them.
So it's just again.
Okay, now we're good.
What?
We're good.
What do you mean?
He came out, I said, who's under more pressure? And he said, boom, the Jets, the back page, they start stuff. And you did a whole thing where you say both teams. You said both.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's Monday, but you gotta.
Well, he prefaced it with, this isn't a cop-out.
Yeah, well, it's not a cop-out.
That's like with all due respect, but
these guys are unbelievable.
No disrespect. It's the no disrespect.
Early on, he was like, I'm just calling balls and strikes out here.
Right. What was that? Was that a ball or a strike?
Oh, my gosh.
You didn't call it.
Step
You
up.
just let it go.
All right, we're going to do another
It was neither. It wasn't a ball or strike. Do-over. It's just a do-over.
The Athletic has released their quarterback tiers. They used a group, not a committee, of coaches and executives to come up with their tiers. Here's what the first tier looked like. Mahomes was unanimous. Burrow, Allen, Rodgers, and Herbert. Nick, were you totally satisfied with this?
You're such a jackass. Rodgers has no business being where he is. None whatsoever. And we're going to dive into the different nuances of this ranking throughout the show, but just focus just on Rodgers. Guys, there is one argument to be made that Aaron Rodgers, at soon to be 40, is going to have a bounce-back season. One argument. Tom Brady did it.
That's right.
Guys, we have seen for a decade, Rodgers isn't Brady. And the other argument is, he bounced back at the end of last season. No, he did not.
Love it.
Rodgers, during that the final 5 games of last year, when they won 4 and then lost the Lions. More on Lions in a moment. Can we show you his numbers, please? They were not good. Yeah. He was not. It's not like, he turned it around. No, what happened is they played the Bears, who lost 10 in a row in the year. They played the Rams, who were an injured mess. They played Miami in a game that we then found out later Tua got concussed in and played. That was the game where he threw the 3 second-half interceptions. They played Minnesota, who was a good team. But Aaron threw for 159 yards that game. Minnesota turned the ball over 4 times. And then they played Detroit in a playoff game, in a win-and-you're-in game, and it ended, can we play it for you, please, on this. For the 2nd straight year, the ball was in Rodgers' hands at home, for the 3rd straight year, actually. Rodgers' hands at home with a chance to make a play. And he couldn't make it. Instead, he just throws a pop-up to lose to the Lions at Lambeau. And so is that guy all of a sudden going to be back to being a top 4 quarterback? Of course not, bro. Of course not.
2 months ago, I was with you.
Okay.
What changed?
A lot has changed.
And Nick, you know what?
I know Nick gave.
He was in a darkness.
Nick gave 2 reasons when he said there's only one, Tom Brady. But I got 4
All right.
for why he struggled last year. Number 1, He was injured.
Okay.
If he a broken thumb on your throwing hand, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying it can hurt you a little bit.
Okay.
He also wasn't playing well prior to the injury.
Yeah.
Hold on. Injured, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, new offensive coordinator. He loves Nat Hackett.
Oh, my God.
He thinks he's a great family man. He loves his kids.
Right.
He says he makes
He's
it
great
fun.
at darts.
He loves him, right?
Yeah.
He was gone, so he's upset about that. Number three, no chemistry with the young receivers. His fault, but still, no chemistry with the young receivers. And number four, he wasn't as engaged. He didn't want to be there. He did not want to be in Green Bay.
Did he want to beat the Lions?
What
in
I'm
week
looking
18?
at now,
Did he want to beat the Lions?
He didn't deliver. And you know, I've been a Rodgers critic on the big games.
You flipped.
But here's the thing. Now he's back with Nat Hackett.
Okay.
That's a good reason. Number one.
Yeah.
Now he's got better weapons. Nick, you want to downplay Garrett Wilson and company.
He's good.
That could be wrong.
Okay.
All right. Number three, he clearly is engaged.
Yep.
And what is the best Aaron Rodgers? Coach Mangini told us on
either a mad
Thursday.
one, a disrespectful
an angry one with a chip on his shoulder.
One.
And
he's got a huge chip on his shoulder.
A one with Devontae Adams.
Well, Garrett Wilson is
not Devontae
He
Adams.
might not be Devontae Adams, but he might be close.
Okay.
All right, they got a good running back game. Don't let him sign Dalvin Cook. The defense is legit. Look, this dude is all in.
I mean, he was.
I'm not saying he's going to play till he's 45 like Brady. I'm not necessarily saying he's going to have 2 very good years. But I bet you he can have one.
Maybe.
Okay.
He hasn't thrown for 300 yards in 23 weeks. Last year, he averaged 217 yards, less than Carson Wentz and less than Jimmy G. And no one's saying they're top 10
Again,
quarterbacks.
even if you don't think he hit the proverbial cliff and is just going to keep falling, there is not an argument to be made other than I saw him win an MVP a couple years ago that he's one of the 8 best quarterbacks in football.
He wasn't last year. There's no doubt about that.
And what 40-year-old behind a
about
worse offensive line with a new a new coach and a new conference in a tougher division gets better?
Look, he's not Tom Brady. We all know that. But Brady's last year in New England, we saw he couldn't make other mediocre receivers great anymore. He went to Tampa Bay, he got more talent, and we know the rest.
Yes, but that was Brady.
Yeah.
That's my point.
But he's still an all-time great.
He's
premier
He
all-time
is an all-time great who, at the peak of his recent powers, all 3 of his seasons, the last 3 years, from his 2 MVP years to this past year, have ended at home with the ball in his hands, and he failed to make the play. And now he is in the toughest division that he's been in maybe ever, certainly in a decade plus, or in the last half decade at least, under unfamiliar circumstances, at going to be 40 years old, where we are putting it's not that I don't love Garrett Wilson. It's that we are putting so much stock in a singular receiver that we have seen play 1 year of football.
They got other good receivers. Alan Lazard, you know your man Hardman.
Hold on. Where was Alan Lazard most recently?
He's the number 2. He's the number 2. What was he last year?
He was their number 2.
Who was number 1 last year?
I would assume it was Christian Watson when he started catching half dozen
They really didn't have a number 1.
No, exactly. So they have Alan Lazard. People are
probably Lazard.
People are talking about all these weapons.
He's not
it is
number
Garrett
1.
Wilson, who I think will be great one day. But again, we have seen rookie
was great
receivers.
last
He was
year.
excellent for a rookie last year. And then McCole Hardman, who I've watched every snap of his career, he's fine and
as
fast.
a number 3, right?
But that's what he was in Kansas City,
right? And that's
got
what
rid
he
of him.
is. He's a number 3.
Okay. Right.
And Lazard's a number 2.
If Lazard is your number 2, you don't have a great receiving core. How about that?
I disagree.
Really?
Yes.
They have a great receiving core.
Because Wilson is great. I believe Garrett Wilson is great. And I think Lazard's a serviceable number 2. And Hardman is a more than serviceable number 3.
Okay, so they have 2 serviceable and 1 great. That is not a great receiving core. That is 1 great receiver.
All right.
Okay.
And a terrible offensive line.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. Besides
they got to be
Brady
healthy,
Rodgers
but you don't think he's going to make the offensive line better?
No.
Smart, quick releases, really?
Nope. I think that's why he threw 12 interceptions last year. Burrow's calf next on FS1 and the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM. No. I think he's going to be confused. I think he's going to be mad.
That's what you call USA razzle-dazzle. Greetings, soccer fans. Are you ready for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup? As we are. That's right. Australia and New Zealand, look out. State of the Union is coming. And we'll be going above and beyond down under. We'll have new podcast episodes every single match day. So follow Alexi Lawless's State of the Union on the Fox app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to just a very fair show. The prognosis of Joe Burrow's calf has gone from, oh no, to he'll be fine, to somewhere in the middle. Prognosis now is that he'll miss, quote, several weeks with this calf strain. Here's Zach Taylor.
I'll start with Joe. Calf strain, it'll take several weeks, and that's the information we got right now.
Several weeks, take it into the regular season potentially?
Several weeks to several weeks.
We don't know what several means. So, Jay Morrison with a tweet. Wide receiver Jamar Chase said Joe Burrow was in good spirits and using a crutch and scooter to get around the building today. Well, yeah. Asked if he thinks Burrow can play in the opener, Chase, who has experience with a calf strain, said that's up to him since he opens the season in Cleveland in 41 days.
So, Wilds, you want to apologize? You want to apologize? Brew, you wouldn't, I'm not poking fun. Brew wasn't here Friday, so he didn't see it.
Brew,
when we did this story on Friday, because I said, hey, we should do this story. You know, it's a big deal. It could hurt Burrow. It could hurt the Bengals' chances to be compromised beginning of the season. You know, because I've been studying, how guys recover from soft tissue injuries while Wilds is reading 1,000-page Norman Mailer books. And so Wilds was like, it's a nothing burger. Non-story.
We didn't know about it.
Even said on the air. The air said, I'm sorry, I'm just not that interested in it. So I
did not say that on the air,
I can't remember it was on or off the air. I just want to know, would you like to apologize now that it's a big story?
While you were gone, he also started diagnosing meniscuses.
No, I simply gave the accurate details on Jalen Ramsey. Another thing that you would know about if you were not too busy reading fiction books for hours on it.
He's like, I follow several doctors on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly right.
Me and Manchie was like,
obviously,
you know what the moral of this story is? When I'm not here, the show falls apart. You guys ready for the
totally agree.
Right.
I totally agree.
So you're neutral corner.
That's why it's
kind of a big
crazy that you take so much vacation.
So,
here's the deal. This is, in all seriousness, not like a season-defining disaster for the Bengals,
right,
but 100% could lead to one. Because he is now, it will affect him on the field less than like a shoulder injury would. But it adds the likelihood that he suffers a significant injury way more than any other type of injury. His first game of the year, he plays Myles Garrett. Second game of the year, playing the Baltimore defensive front. Your third game of the year, you're playing Aaron Donald. That Bengals offensive line, no matter how many resources they pour into it, has been the weak point every year of his career. And now you're going to limit his mobility and escapability. And I know he's not a big, scrambled for positive yardage quarterback, but he has been a guy who does his best to evade getting killed back there. And so he's the only starting quarterback who's been injured during camp. And I think it's absolutely a big deal.
Well, look, he's injury prone. I mean, the one negative about Joe Burrow is that he's injury prone. He got hurt as a rookie. He's missed training camp or parts of it, every year?
One was for an appendectomy.
But I'm just saying, he has been out. You don't see other quarterbacks out as much as he. Now, I'm not saying that'll be the case going forward.
Sure.
But to your point.
And he's tough as hell.
But, agreed. But because of what you said, they have to err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And so several weeks. Look, they have 6 weeks before the season starts. Look, if I'm the Bengals, I am taking extra time to make sure or do the best they can that he doesn't re-aggravate that injury. All right. So if you have to give him a couple of extra weeks, fine. They started 0-2 last year. They were 2-3 last year, and they came back. And look, he's going to be rusty probably because last year when he missed time for the appendectomy in training camp, they were the first 5 games, 18th in the league in offensive efficiency. The last 12, they were 3rd.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some rust. There's gonna be some lack of chemistry there. But I would err on the side of caution. You mentioned those first 3 games facing tough defensive lines.
They're not
if he has
facing
to
great
sit out,
teams.
if he has to sit out a game or two or three.
I agree.
Because
You
if
would sit
you
him out?
looked at the schedule, I don't know if we can throw it up again, but look at week 4, 5, and 6. That's maybe when you can get right. Then they got the bye.
Yeah, I mean.
So maybe even if you miss the first 3, and I'm not saying he will, but I would err on the side of caution and not rushing back.
I would think that every single one of those games, except for the Ravens game, is more than winnable without Burrow. That entire column. Yeah. They're winnable. Not that you'd pick them, but I mean, the Rams are going to be a disaster. We'll see what the Titans quarterback situation is. The Cardinals are going to be the worst team in the league. We
Bengals
disagree on the Browns.
Browns is a rivalry.
Sure.
And maybe Deshaun.
And so
will be back.
and again, we're now talking way long term, but I thought it was a mistake that he was out there at practice with the calf sleeve on. If he has a calf sleeve, it means he has something going on. And so I just think you've got to be incredibly cautious with your franchise, which is Joe Burrow.
All right, let's check back in on the Athletics QB tiers. Mahomes, again, was the unanimous number 1. No surprise to us up here as fans. Were you surprised, Nick? Followed by Burrow and Allen. Nick, are you okay with Burrow and Allen being 2 and 3?
Well, what's my New Year's resolution?
Be less humble.
Yeah, welcome to the party, America. Some of us told you Joe Burrow was. Some of us had Mahomes Burrow as 1-2 all year last year. And we were told, no, it's Josh Allen, Josh Allen. Now Josh Allen. So I have no problem with Burrow at 2 because that's why I've had him for 15 months. Mm-hmm. Allen at 3 is once again a figment of the media's imagination. It just is. So over the last 2 years, Josh Allen, how many combined picks and fumbles do you think he has?
Oh, I think he's got a lot.
50. 5-0.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. There's only other guy in the 50s is Matt Ryan, who
it
drove him out of the sport. He was like, I'm out of here. I'm gone.
How many have they lost of those fumbles?
I don't know. He has 29 picks and 21 fumbles. I'm not sure how many fumbles lost it is, but it's 50 total. But here's, once again, I will just give you, again, it's a very basic stat, but passer rating by year for Josh Allen and his ranking in the league. And much like his game by game, it's a bit of a roller coaster, and nothing tells you it's elite. Nothing. And in 2020, it looked like he was on the verge of becoming elite. And then in 2021, he took a huge step back. Last year, he took a bit of a step forward. And then Brew will try to do this fancy math on, but he's an all-time playoff great. But he's not. And we can show you his playoff numbers, because Brew's like, oh, his playoff numbers jump. No. He had one good playoff run. That's it. And by the way, that one good playoff run, he went 1-1.
17 touchdowns to 4 receptions.
I'm just telling you, what I'm telling you is, in 2021, he was awesome. In the rest of his playoff career, he has not been. And so, why is he a top 3 quarterback? Tell me.
Can I?
I will. Go ahead, but I'll tell you.
I just have a graphic.
Because I got much more than that.
I just have one graphic.
Yeah.
The comparison, the raw number comparison to Joe Burrow is very similar. Except Josh Allen has more wins. The touchdowns and interceptions are close enough. The rushing yards, he's got 500 more rushing yards and 2 more.
What makes him better than Jalen Hurts, though? What makes him better? You're not even saying he's better than Joe Burrow.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
so you
would agree with that.
So you think he's right now? You think he's the 3rd best quarterback in football?
I have absolutely no problem with him being ranked the 3rd best quarterback in football.
Okay.
None whatsoever, and I got a plethora of reasons. Number one. All right, you had your little graphics. Dusty.
What is that?
Dustin, I should say. Dustin.
What is this one?
Dustin?
He was the offense last year. Yeah. You know how much I love Mahomes. Sports Illustrated, all that knows how much I love Mahomes. But this dude did as 84% of his team's touchdowns last year. Okay. 84% of a team that went 13-3. I'm trying to, Dustin.
I don't think we have it, Brew. I think it's pretty clear.
I thought Dustin refused
So
to put it up.
he had 84% of the Bills' touchdowns last year.
Okay.
That's a one-man show, and they weren't 7-10. They were 13-3. That's huge. All right. Secondly, he was second in the league last year in touchdown passes and total touchdowns, second to Mahomes.
Yeah. And where was he in interceptions?
He was second in. He had 2 more than Joe Burrow.
He was third in interceptions.
But he had 2 more than Joe Burrow.
Red zone.
All right, so it's not like a ton. All right, he's second in the league in rushing touchdowns among quarterbacks.
Okay.
He was second last year. Well, I don't know if we had the other graphic.
Yeah.
Over the last 3 years, he is second in the league in winning. There's wins, but win percentage, I was going to say 75%, obviously to Mahomes. So I'm just saying, like, this guy is second in so many different categories. So
why is he not second then, bro? Why do you not still have him ahead of Burrow?
This is why I have Joe Burrow slightly ahead of him. Because he makes better decisions.
Yeah.
He's been more poised.
Yeah.
All right. He's more accurate. All right. And he's more consistent.
Yeah.
So those are reasons that I have Joe Burrow ahead of him. But this guy, I mean, and here's the other thing, Nick. Everyone else, there are question marks about. Aaron Rodgers, his age. I'll even give you that.
Yeah.
There's a question mark. Justin Herbert. Can he win?
I've got him ahead of both those guys.
Well, okay, Justin Herbert, can he win? There's a question. Jalen Hurts, he had 1 great year. One.
Yeah, same
right?
with Josh.
Lamar Jackson, can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
No, Josh was second in MVP, what? 3 years
that's just
ago.
1 great year.
And third last year.
That was
he
a
was
farce.
third in MVP.
He's
farce,
made 2 Pro Bowls.
Whatever. He was third.
You're a big Pro Bowl guy. He's made 2 Pro Bowls. Jalen's made 1.
What was he in the MVP voting last year?
Last year, yes.
Third.
Yes, he was third.
When you look back at, you do all your NBA and NFL rankings, a big thing you look. He's had 1 good year.
Half a good
Trevor.
year.
Half a good year.
Okay.
And I'm not saying Trevor won't emerge to be great, but right now he's had half a good year. Okay. Josh Allen has been top 3 in MVP voting twice. Josh Allen is the second winningest quarterback in the league in the last 3 years. Josh Allen was a bigger part of his offense than as far as touchdowns, than any quarterback in the league.
So
why can't we put him in the top 3?
Because he's not better than Hurts, and he's not better than Trevor, and he's not better than
Hurts
Burrow,
has had
and he's
1
not
good
better than
year.
Mahomes. That's everybody.
He doesn't throw better than Jalen Hurts.
I am telling you right now, he is not a better player than Jalen Hurts. He is not a better player than Trevor Lawrence. He is not a better player than Joe Burrow, which I told you last year. And he's obviously not a better player than Patrick Mahomes. I'd include Caleb Williams in that, but he's not in the pros yet. I'll give him Herbert. I'll give him Rodgers.
Caleb Williams next year is going to be better than him.
Caleb Williams, we can have the Caleb Williams discussion another time. But last point on Josh Allen, that everyone wants to say, well, the reason for his numbers dipping last year was the injury. And he has now said, and his team has said, he is going to run less. That is smart for a longevity perspective. It will make him a far less effective player. The scariest thing Josh Allen does is on 3rd and long, take off and run.
Yep.
And if they are taking that out of his game, he is not going to be as dynamic of a player.
When he has to run, he'll run.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was second in the league in touchdown passes.
He was first in the league in fumbled
second in the league in touchdown passes. You know what will drop when he stops running as much? The fumbles. How about that?
First in the league and getting blown out in playoff games.
I had great points that whole segment.
The graphics were a little behind.
Hey, college football fans, Joel Klatt here, and I am so happy to announce my new interview series, The Joel Klatt Show Big Noon Conversations. Every Monday, we will bring you a candid conversation with the most influential voices in college football. From Colorado's Coach Prime to Coach Saban down in Tuscaloosa, we sit down and discuss all things college football. Download The Joel Klatt Show Big Noon Conversations wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to the new Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel.
Brew was there for Terrence Crawford. Watch him dominate Errol Spence Jr. Crawford dropped Spence in the 2nd round, twice in the 7th before the fight ended in the 9th. TKO. Crawford now stands 40-0 and has all 4 belts at 147. Brew, what was your takeaway? You were there. Tell us everything.
I was stunned, like everybody. I mean, look, I picked Crawford to, when I said it on here on the Bud list, to win either by decision or late stoppage. Obviously got the late stoppage. But I don't think anyone on the planet,
nobody,
save maybe Bud Crawford, maybe saw something in film, he knew he'd dominate him, and people on his team.
Who walked out.
That was good. That was a great song, obviously, to come out to. That was great. But no one saw this coming. He was faster. He was slicker. He hit him with 50% of his punches, 60% of his power shots. And the shocker was that he was stronger. Like, that was supposed to be Spence's one advantage, that he's bigger, he's stronger. And look, here's how strong he was. Spence has never been knocked down.
Yeah.
And he knocked him down 3 times. And it looked, Nick, like, and I'm not saying he definitely did this, but once he knocked him down, he was in control, and it seemed like he could have knocked him out at any moment. I don't know. I don't want to say he definitely carried him. Does he want to punish him more and make it more impressive? But it seemed like he was very relaxed and cool, which is smart. You don't want to get caught with anything. But it just seemed like he wanted to punish him, and he did.
So we don't talk a lot about boxing on this show, but it's one of my absolute favorite sports, and I feel like I know a lot more about it than UFC, and I followed it for my whole life. I know you love it. For people that just watched this fight, because it was a big fight, I think they might come away thinking, okay, well, the Crawford guy's great. That Spence guy's record must have been... Errol Spence Jr., I thought was going to win, and I was wrong, obviously, was not some massive dog in the fight, and is a great fighter. A great fighter. And the way he was, Spence won the first round. I didn't see what the official scorecards were, but I thought he won the first round, and I thought the second round was very, very close until he got knocked down. Right. And then over the next 6.5 rounds was dominated in a way I can't remember seeing a great fighter in their prime dominated. We've seen great fighters at the end, like, this. And so,
and you've seen a great fighter get knocked out, like a punch that catches him or whatever.
All the time.
But to be dominated for 8 straight rounds,
it looked like he was not in Crawford's league. And I'm telling you, the bookmakers, the true experts, the more than casual fans who watch it, nobody thought this was some massive mismatch.
It was
Crawford,
50-50.
it was brilliant.
Quickly, Brew. Spence wants a rematch. He says hopefully it'll happen at 154. Do you have an appetite for the rematch?
Not really. I mean, I'd like to see Spence fight a couple of other people and kind of look better, you look impressive, and get his confidence up. Because I think a big question is, how does he respond mentally, Nick? Like, if you get beaten like this early in your career, you have no choice but to bounce back.
Yep.
You to dominate for so many years, you're one of the most feared fighters in that division and several divisions, and then to get completely dominated like this, it's going to be work for him to bounce back.
I 100% want to see the rematch. It would be soon. It would be in December. Here's why I want to see.
So you think he'd have a shot? I think it'll be worse than the first fight.
But the reason I want to see it is because I don't think that was a real representation of how good Spence is. It was also as well as I think Crawford or anyone really can fight. And if Spence beats him, then it sets up the first really great trilogy in boxing in years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where if he were to win, and he auto gets the rematch. The loser gets to automatically ask for the rematch.
I don't think he's got the tools.
Well, he might not.
Yeah.
No, and the Vegas line would be very different if they did it again.
And I'll say this, Crawford is an all-time great. Put him up there with Leonard, Hearns, Duran, Floyd Mayweather. He's in that class. Pacquiao, he's in that class.
The first man ever to have all 4 belts be undisputed at 2 weight classes.
Yep.
First guy ever.
Coming up next, things are getting odd in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor wants out.
What does this mean? What is that?
Kelce fight concerning.
Nick!
What is they put Wilds' cheek? What is that?
I didn't see that.
What is that?
I was going to do
that is so
You didn't
dumb.
see it. I'm sure you're behind it.
I didn't know. I swear to God.
There's no doubt you're behind.
Coming up tomorrow, a new segment. It's called the Quarterback Pyramid. It's like the NBA pyramid, but with quarterbacks.
Exactly. It's not tiers. It's
not
a pyramid. There's not names. It's different. I don't make the graphics, Brew. If I did, I'd change my suit.
Yep.
I mean, I love that suit, but I'd be a little more diverse.
Things are getting weird in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor wanted an extension. Wasn't going to get that, so he requested a trade. Irsay then texted Albert Breer, "We're not trading Jonathan." End of discussion. Then he continued the discussion. Not now and not in October. Okay. Then the report comes out the Colts may put Taylor on the non-football injury list because of a back injury, which means he wouldn't get paid this year. And by the way, Jonathan Taylor doesn't have a back injury. 1, I never had back pain. 2, I never reported back pain. Not sure who sources are, but find new ones emoji. Nick, what do you make of this mess?
I just don't understand what's wrong with these teams. I don't get it. First of all, it's a very dangerous road, the whole, hey, while you were preparing to be a professional athlete by training in the offseason, you tweaked something and now we're not going to pay you. Because that's what what they would be saying is a non-football injury is not, I was mountain biking and I fell. It was, I was training and tweaked something. It's like, well, withhold your salary. It's like, okay, so you want your guys to just be totally out of shape when they get to camp? You don't. So that's a dangerous road. The other thing is Jim Irsay, get off Twitter. Like, I understand Jim Irsay worked really hard to inherit that team from his father, but get off Twitter. That's second of all. Third of all, I will wave the flag for smart cap management and understanding that the running back position is fungible and not spending super high draft picks on running backs. I get all of that. I also understand that it's not Madden, and there's a locker room, and there's emotions of players and a tone that is set. And when you have made clear this guy is your team's offensive leader and your team's best player, to alienate him over what would be probably $6 million more guaranteed dollars than the franchise tag next year is illogical. When you're trying to start a new culture with a new coach and a new quarterback. So I don't get what they're doing in Indy. I just don't.
I hear you. Look, it's ugly, obviously, because I think the whole threat of putting him on the non-football injury report and then he wouldn't get paid is just a response to him saying, well, trade me. I want to be traded,
Agreed.
you know. And I get him. Look, I would love nothing more than for running backs to get their money, for Jonathan Taylor to get this contract extension. I understand why he's going for it. But I also understand if I was running the team, I wouldn't be lining up to give him an extension either. He's coming off a down year. He got injured, all right? And teams have seen, they gave Ezekiel Elliott, God bless him, because he got his money, but he declined from that time he got that extension. Todd Gurley, God bless him, he got his money, but he declined from the time of that extension, and they went on to win the Super Bowl basically without him. So it's unfortunate for running backs now. And here's the thing, Nick, who's trading for him? When you know, number one, he's been injured, right? He's got the ankle injury. I don't know about the back, but he's got the ankle injury.
He was healthy all in Wisconsin and healthy besides one down year.
It's just his third year. But I'm just saying it was his third year. And when he played, he was down a little bit. The production wasn't what it was the year before when he was phenomenal. And here's the other thing. Are you trading for him when he's injured, but you also know you got to give him a contract extension?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
Here's the thing. If you traded for him, I don't know that you do have to give him a contract extension. Because I think that he can force a trade, potentially. If he gets traded and the team's like, we traded for you, we're not paying you. He's not. At that point, he's played his cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And do you want your Patriots to get in the business with him?
With Jonathan Taylor?
Yes.
Here's the thing about Jonathan Taylor.
He's great.
If you lump him in with running backs, like, running backs, switch guys out, and like the whole drama around running backs, that's fine. Ask yourself this. Would you want prime Derrick Henry? If you want prime Derrick Henry, then you want Jonathan Taylor. Here's Jonathan Taylor's numbers. Rushing yards, third. This is since entering the league. Yeah. Touchdowns, he's second. First down. Then he has these monster runs that when you watch the Colts, like, the game just turned. This isn't just, 3 yards and a pile of dust. He's had the fastest 13, 20-mile-per-hour runs. You're not grabbing him. He's a great, great player. So, yes, definitely.
I wonder if, because they just lost their top 2 running backs to injury, and because they want to run the ball, and because they're in the NFC, Indy might do it. I wonder if Seattle calls.
That would be great.
Seattle has money. They you know what I mean? Could work. And I know they've spent multiple second-round picks on running backs, but they're both.
You think they'd give him an extension?
Maybe a short.
Dalvin Cook can't really
maybe
get
a short one. He's better than Dalvin Cook. But go ahead.
Way better than Dalvin Cook.
Really?
All right, let's head to Kansas City. Yeah,
I think so.
He was 2 years ago.
Where Travis Kelce has gone full Draymond Green.
Oh, stop it.
Playing for a dynasty, not being guarded, and punching teammates.
Okay.
Afterwards, Travis Kelce tweeted, gotta be a better teammate. Gotta be a better leader. Plain and simple. I shouldn't be punching my teammates in the head.
And that,
I added that part.
Yeah. And we cut because this wasn't as bad as the other one. This one was Friday. I mean, the other one was Saturday.
When you have two instances,
I know.
this actually wasn't as bad.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm making. Is we didn't run this one yet. This one's actually worse. Bam! So here's the deal.
Go.
This is very, very concerning if Kelce were to break his hand.
Okay. See?
Here's the thing. But they're wearing those little foam. He's smart. Look at who he punched. He has a little foam helmet protector on, so he can't really hurt himself. Here's the deal. You know how I know the Chiefs aren't complacent? You know how I know there's no Super Bowl hangover, disease of me, any of that stuff? Because we're in training camp in full pads, and the greatest tight end ever is hitting practice squad guys because he's so fired up. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking
I'm in. Oh, no, God. You almost tricked me. I'm talking. So I can't believe it. Son of a gun.
Your Chiefs they look ready. Well,
stop saying his Chiefs.
I mean,
I almost high-fived you.
I am with you though. I don't think it's
fine. Just don't hurt your hand, Travis.
You better not get.
Don't have to apologize.
How far do you have the Chiefs going in the playoffs?
Stop.
Pretty far.
Me too. This one I'm not with you on this. Does the Prince deserve to be a top 10 QB after 7 good games?
With me or with the NFL GMs that ranked him there? I almost really gave you a high five.
Welcome back to the show tomorrow morning on Fox, or you can just stay up tonight. 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup continues. Alex Morgan in the U.S. against Portugal. Coverage begins in 9 hours.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Kickoff's at 3 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
On Fox and the Fox Sports app. Coverage begins 1.
Yeah.
Kickoff at 3. Again, it's tonight. QB tiers from The Athletic. Where's Dak, you might ask? Well, that's a great question. Coming in at 6, Jalen Hurts. Well, Lamar's got an MVP, then the Prince. There's Dak, Stafford, Deshaun Watson, and Kirk Cousins. Nick, do you see Dak as a top 10 quarterback?
Obviously. This is why Brew, saying that he's just a modern day Brad Johnson. You're right. Listen, I don't like when I'm misquoted, so I won't misquote you. But what Bruce said was, just like Brad Johnson or Trent Dilfer, he could be the quarterback of a Super Bowl champion and not be elite. I didn't quite understand it. I didn't get it. But
maybe
this
just
is
like Matt Stafford.
I think a lot of people, after they won the Super Bowl, weren't you partially putting him in the Hall of Fame?
No, I said
yes,
if he keeps winning.
I
said if he keeps winning.
Oh, he had to be a dynasty
He could be building toward it.
He is clearly the second best quarterback in his own conference. And I think 9 is a touch
That's
low.
Not saying
well,
much.
It's the NFL. There's 2 conferres. It's the best league. There's 2 conferences, and he's number 2 in that conference. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's some skepticism on that side of the table about Jalen Hurts that I don't share. But so maybe he could be number 1. His last 2 healthy seasons, he was 4,900 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, and then 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. And last year had an awesome playoff game against a really good defense. And then a bad playoff game against an elite defense that crushed everyone they played all year except for Mahomes. So, yeah, clearly he's a top 10 quarterback, and I think that he could be ahead of some of the guys he's behind on this list.
He is a top 10 quarterback.
There you go.
But here's the thing. What I have never said he's not a top 10 quarterback. What I said last week was he's not elite. And I doubt you're going to sit here and say being in the top 10 makes you elite.
No.
Am I correct on that?
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you. You had your turn. All right. Now, look, he is not elite. Dusty, hopefully we got this graphic, okay?
Yeah.
Can we see the criteria for being a tier 1? Tier 1 is elite, okay? Tier 1 is elite. I think we have the criteria for what a tier 1 quarterback is. If not, I'll read it.
Okay.
Can carry his team each week. Carry, not just quarterback, carry. Team wins because of him. Mm-hmm. Has no real holes in his game. That's not Dak Prescott. Okay? Because when he had to carry a team, It's Aaron Rodgers.
It is?
It has been historically, and yes, he was down last year. But everyone is counting on a bounce back. All right, but here's what happened when Dak had to carry the team. You want to throw out the stats. He carried them in 2020. Averaged 371 yards a game. I mean, he got hurt, but they were 2-3 in those games. When Dak had to carry
he
him,
broke
you were
his
2-3.
leg.
No. I'm not talking about when he was injured. When he was healthy,
I understand.
They were 2-3.
Right.
Okay, when he carried him. Then in 2019, the year before, he averaged 306 yards a game. Carrying the team. What were they?
You got to stop with this quarterback.
They've been in a mediocre division for years. It's not mediocre anymore, but it has been for years, and they couldn't really dominate it. I was one that years ago thought Dak was en route. That was my very phrase. En route to becoming elite. He's a good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback. He is not a guy that you can just say Dak. Like you can say it to Mahomes. You could say it to Rodgers. We'll see if this year. You can say it to Allen, 84% of his team's offense. You can say it to Joe Burrow. Carry us. Lamar, carry us. You can't say that to Dak.
Honest question. Based on last season, just last season, what's the argument that Josh Allen's better than Dak? What is it? Because
throws,
the interceptions.
What do you mean?
That Dak had 15 interceptions.
And Josh Allen had 14 and 13 fumbles.
Wild said that, not me.
He played 12 games. He played 12 games. Josh Allen played 4 more games and had 3 fewer interceptions.
No, he was 1 fewer, right? It was 15-14 on the interception.
Yeah, but he played a lot more games. He played 4 more games.
Okay, and Josh had 3x the fumbles. That's fine.
He runs it better. He throws it better.
So,
he's proof that when you put the team on his back, you go 13-3. 3 years ago, they went 13-3. Last year, 11-6.
13-3 is a rookie, okay?
Yeah, but Ezekiel Elliott was carrying the team. Now, Dak was good, but he was a game manager to make plays.
Last year, they won 12. The Bills won 13.
And they had a great running game. With Pollard and Zeke combined.
Got it. And the Cowboys
and a great offensive line.
And the Cowboys also, by the way, have an awesome defense. It's one of the reasons I believe in them. So I get that. And I don't think wins are a quarterback stat. But what I am saying is, and by the way, I actually think Josh Allen, if we're doing the quarterback pyramid tomorrow, Josh Allen will show up ahead of Dak Prescott on my pyramid. Yeah. My point is, I think one guy is treated like he is a no doubt obvious, might be the second best quarterback in the league. And the other guy is treated like a fringe top 10 guy. And they are much closer to the 5th and 6th quarterbacks in the league. Or the 6th.
What does Dak do better or as well as Josh Allen?
Historically, take care of the football. Not make egregious red zone turnovers. Yeah. Not throw the ball over his head in a playoff game. Not fumble a kneel down. Not make head-scratching mistakes.
He had the head-scratching. That's what ended their season.
He didn't call that play.
The head-scratch. Okay, if that happened to Josh Allen, you would not be like,
Wait a second. Hold on.
If that happened to Josh Allen, you would blame Josh Allen.
Wait a second.
Dak hasn't been great against great teams.
Hold on.
You know
I
that.
wish we could run it. You're saying the Zeke play is on Dak?
No,
he's saying the year before.
I'm saying the Dak Prescott.
Okay. You mean 2 years ago?
You would be torching Josh Allen if you did that.
No.
But for the record, the Zeke play, you got to be like, Zeke cannot snap the ball.
Okay, that's fair.
That's ridiculous. That is on himself.
You are correct that the scramble 2 years ago, disaster. And a terrible decision. I agree with you 100% on that. I thought you were talking about the Zeke play.
The Zeke play was ridiculous.
You agree? Is he elite?
No.
Then you agree with me.
No, but I don't. But I think, here's what I think. Any of these quarterbacks in the top 10, if they win the Super Bowl, they get to be called elite.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Fair. You think he's got to rip off a dynasty to be called elite.
Like elite? You don't even think that would make him a Hall of Famer.
What?
The Hall of Fame
is a level above elite.
It's for elite quarterbacks.
No, wrong.
It's the elite of the
elite. Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
You got the elite.
Y'all bar is too low.
Elite. It's not called the Elite of Fame.
What are you
Hall of
talking
Fame
about?
is for elite.
No. It's
There's
for
a
the best
meeting
of the best.
Dak,
everybody
look,
elite,
if they
and
win the
the
Super
best elite
Bowl,
go.
Dak will get incredible love,
Yeah.
and he'll deserve it. But a lot of that will be because it's the Dallas Cowboys, and he's a Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
Yeah, okay.
He's a good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback.
You know
He's
what
not
that music
elite.
means.
He's
It
not
means
elite.
It's time to move on.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, a.k.a.
You guys need to apologize.
the prince who was promised. He's also made the quarterback tiers.
Yeah, he has.
He's coming in at
for
number
him.
8.
So can you guys now just say, like, I believe this is too low, personally. But you guys have been acting every time he's come up, like having him in the top 10 is an outrage. And Wild's your take that he's had half a good season of his career. And now he
Is that
is,
wrong?
and now he is number 8. Now again, I would have him a touch higher, but
Who do you want? You want him higher than
Who's
an
he higher
MVP or a guy that just carried his team to the Super Bowl?
well, I don't have him
Because he threw 4 interceptions?
No, I don't have him. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. I do think he's better than Lamar. I do think he's better than Justin Herbert. I do think he's better than Josh Allen. Yes, I do. Okay. And listen, I'm
he's
glad.
better-
I'm glad that
He had a little run. He had a little run.
Can I give you a different look at it?
Yeah, sure.
His entire career, his entire football life, and
We could say that about many of these guys.
He's 12 and 22.
12 and 22. Does that
Really?
count as
No,
football
well, you
career?
didn't see in junior high school. He threw for
Right,
1,000
no.
yards in
No,
one game.
All these guys weren't dominant.
Okay, he's Peyton Manning 2.0, except unlike Peyton, it's not going to take him 6 years to get his first playoff win because he already got his first playoff win. And you guys hang one half of football around his neck. One bad half of playoff football. And totally disregarding the fact that, again, Peyton Manning, the guy that he's going to be, his first 3 playoff games had a 59 passer rating, was 0-3. And Trevor Lawrence, this upcoming season with Ridley and with his second year under Peterson, I mean, he's going to be considered unanimously a top 5 quarterback. Unanimously a top 5 quarterback.
Look, I do like him. I just think you're way out.
Where would you have him?
I think he's right about where he should be. 8th.
Okay.
But you've been saying he's top 3.
You know what happened?
For weeks, you've been saying he's top 3.
The guy won the Super Bowl. I don't think you just.
You mean got to the Super Bowl?
No, Matthew Stafford won the Super Bowl. I would have him behind Matthew Stafford. I might have him ahead of Deshaun Watson, who's had 3 good games in 2 years.
You'd have him behind Matt Stafford?
Yeah.
Would you have him behind Aaron Rodgers?
Tricky.
No, it's not
I
tricky
would,
because
yes.
I know you would. I'm asking Wilds.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown for 300 yards.
Yeah, when's the last time Stafford did it? Stafford was injured most of last year.
Stafford was hurt. Stafford won the Super Bowl, got hurt.
I'm going to throw a name at you.
Yeah.
Because you just toss this out willy-nilly. Lamar.
Yeah.
I think Lamar should be in the top 5.
Lamar
like
has
fifth.
had a better career, obviously. I believe right now, this moment, Trevor Lawrence is better, and I believe this wholeheartedly. The Jacksonville, if before Lamar signed his extension, when Lamar said trade me, if the Ravens called Jacksonville and said we'll give you Lamar for Trevor, Jacksonville would have hung up the phone. And the Ravens would have been delighted to make that trade. Trevor, I like Lamar, is better than Lamar. Trevor is better than Justin Herbert. And it's not just because he beat him in the playoffs because I'm not a playoff wins guy.
I want
Herbert's
to
gotta
see
show
it
he
for a
can
full
win.
year.
Okay.
That's what we're going to
And we're going to finally see Lamar in a pro offense that's not just based on his running game. With some good
Coming up
receivers.
next, Michael Jordan. Welcome back to the show. Now, Jordan's trainer, Tim Grover, gave a speech last month and compared the shoe legacy of Jordan and LeBron as his final talking point on why Jordan was GOATed. Take a listen.
Here comes the mic drop right here. Here comes the mic drop right here. All right? We've all heard the stories about individuals getting robbed for their Jordans. We've all heard the stories, right? Have you heard the story? Anybody getting stuck up for a pair of LeBrons? There you go.
I mean,
I've never done this on the show.
Oh, what is that?
It's an official victory lap.
Oh, great.
It's an official victory lap because Brew had the audacity. Victory lap.
You have the clip?
Yeah.
He probably does.
You know what?
Of
course I have the clip. I don't even need the sound. Just look at Brew's face. When I was let me set it, watch Brew here. Look at how aghast and agog he is that I said that when people argue that Jordan's the GOAT, they bring up non-basketball factors. And the number one thing people bring up is the sneakers. And Brew said, I have never heard that brought up in the debate.
What?
This was when we were talking about whether or not the fact that Michael Jordan had the most hellacious on-court tenure of any owner in modern NBA history should factor in at all. And all I argued was we either have to do just basketball or everything, not picking and choosing. And now we have, I'm sure, someone you've known for 30 years,
Tim. He's a great
Grover, at a paid speech. He's saying, I didn't even hear this part for the first time because I just read it. He said, and here's the mic drop moment, meaning this was his crescendo, final, big joker point.
The earlier points were pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad you brought those up, Miles.
Hold on.
Because, first of all, it was tongue-in-cheek.
No!
It was fun. And that's not people.
Fun anecdote about people being robbed.
That's one person.
That's one person.
Correct.
All right? You know, in our debates about Jordan and LeBron, I have never brought up his shoes. Now, he is mythical. I said that. Jordan has become mythical, but he earned that. He earned that, and I think LeBron will become mythical, but just a notch slightly below Michael Jordan. But here's the thing you left out. Before he said the shoes, and he was being just
why do you say
fancy ending. He said this. This was his main point.
This was pretty good.
This was his main point. I don't know if Nick watched this point. I'm going to ask you.
I didn't
you
watch
didn't watch it? Okay. So I'm going to ask you.
You're in for a treat.
I'm going to ask you this question. That 4 times there have been 4 players in the history of the NBA who have done this in one season. They led the league in scoring during the regular season. They won the MVP. They were first team all defense. They led the playoffs in scoring, and they won the finals MVP.
Yeah, it was Michael Jordan 4 times.
That's pretty darn good.
No.
That was his main issue.
Yes.
The shoes was just
and
a little
again,
icing on the
by
cake.
the way, America, that a fun trick that all of the, and again, I think Jordan's one of the 3 greatest players ever, but Jordan obviously is I shouldn't say obviously, but arguably is the greatest scorer ever, and certainly a compiled scoring time.
It was defensive player.
Please, he said first team all defense, but it was along with the scoring titles, Wilds. So there are so many LeBron never did X, Jordan did X, with the common denominator being a scoring title being included, because LeBron only won the scoring title one time.
LeBron hasn't led the league in a lot of things.
And Jordan led the league in scoring a bunch of times.
Steals 3 times.
Steals a few
times.
Has
LeBron ever led the league in steals?
No, has Jordan ever led the league in assists? I'm not doing this right now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying total is a lot different.
I get it. And so but the point was, if we want to have a Jordan LeBron actual argument, I'd love to.
We've done
but
that.
the point that I was trying to make months ago, and I'm trying to make again now, now being buttressed by Michael Jordan's personal trainer.
That's another factor. It's not an objective.
None of you guys are objective.
I'm objective.
No.
There was a time when I thought LeBron earlier in his career would surpass Jordan. I'm definitely objective.
Okay, I think you are an objective person. I think on this
why
this
not?
particular
I love
thing,
LeBron. I think what he's done off the court has been way better than Jordan. Why would not? I give it to him if I thought it was.
I think that there is a piece. I think there is a piece of, and maybe people can say it's the same thing with me because it's the era I'm in, of folks who cut their teeth in the 90s. Who are just, there is a romanticization.
I wasn't 7 years old.
No,
when
cut
Jordan
your teeth. I'm saying cut your teeth professionally. In the 90s, a romanticization, pardon me, of that era of basketball. I think when it wasn't that great of an era of basketball. But the point I'm making
I just want to make sure I get to say something. The point I'm trying
to make is that I said this was always used. The non-basketball things were always used for Michael. And then we have at a paid speaking appearance by his trainer, his final take being his shoes are better. That's all. Go ahead.
I'm going to throw this out because you throw. Chris, you were 8 years old, the little kid. He was a superhero to you.
I didn't
all that.
say that.
What should maybe factor in, and I think these guys are off because I got LeBron second, right behind Michael Jordan. Have you ever heard anyone give a top 5 list or a top 10 list and not have Michael Jordan on it?
This is a Dr. J thing?
Dr. J didn't have him in the top 10. Steph Curry didn't have him in the top 5.
Hold on.
Ray Allen didn't have him in the top 5. Paul Pierce didn't have him. I get Pierce a little biased, but still, have you ever heard anybody give a top 5 and not have Jordan in it?
No, but that is, again, an eras thing. First of all, the Dr. J, I love Dr. J. Dr. J's top 10 is one of the worst lists I've ever seen, and you agree. I know you agree.
I got LeBron second, so I'm with you on that. But I'm just saying,
that's fine.
The fact that so many people have left him out.
I'm going to, by the way.
And this is 3 generations.
But here's
Dr. J, Ray Allen, Steph Curry.
The Steph Curry did not give his top 5. He gave a starting 5. But set that aside.
He put a non-shooting forward, small forward ahead of LeBron.
Set that aside just for a moment, just quickly here. This is what will happen, though. Because this next generation, this Brandon Miller generation is going to come in and start giving their top 5s, and Jordan's not going to be in it. And guess what? It's going to be dismissed out of hand.
Brandon Miller?
Exactly. It's going to be called.
Hold on. I named Julius Irving, Steph Curry,
and
Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Brandon Miller?
Brandon Miller's basketball takes over Paul Pierce's any day.
You see air, though? It's really good. Bills have a Lombardi trophy. It's on a banner in their practice facility. Ben Volen, writing for the Boston Globe, McDermott may be tempting fate by plastering a giant championship trophy across his practice facility, adding unnecessary pressure or getting too far ahead of himself. That's what Ben Volen wrote. And McDermott responded, Volen got this quote too, "It's just a daily reminder of what we're here to do and what we're trying to accomplish. And more than anything, internally it's to keep us focused on that through the course of the season."
Gosh.
That can get clouded with the journey. Go ahead, Nick. You love it.
No, when life imitates art. I mean, that's so perfect. We gave the Bills banners for being the offseason champion, the September champion, beating the Chiefs in back-to-back years, to a consecutive AFC semifinalists, all these fake banners, and now they have a real banner that's a fake banner.
That's a lot.
They're hanging a Lombardi trophy in their practice facility, despite the fact they're one of just a handful of teams that aren't recent expansion teams that don't have a Lombardi trophy.
I mean, it's weird looking.
I gotta be, and I'm not necessarily picking the Bills this year, but I like it. This is their goal. He's right. It is a constant reminder. Look, we know this. Before Sean McDermott got there, they went 17 years without making the playoffs. When you've done that, and you become a perennial contender, that can feel like an accomplishment.
You don't think that looks weird?
That feels like an accomplishment. He's saying, no, we have not accomplished anything. This is the goal.
Yeah,
I'm down with it.
A small little sign above the stairs, play like a champion today, that you slap on one hand. A giant 60-foot trophy that you've never won in this year franchise.
You got to go all in.
Go to Foxborough.
You got to go all in.
6 of them. Coming up next, Speak. We'll be here tomorrow, 3 o'clock.